Moving to Dubai, you either work hard or you go home. I hated sales so much. I always had this belief that I'm not good at sales. I know how to coach a client. I know how to get a client a transformation, but what I don't know is how to run a business. Your whole business is dependent upon the setters. Hire slow, fire fast.
Best week in business ever, from hating sales to being able to close them all in a week. What were the things that you felt that you were doing consistently that kept you stuck?
I think it's just not.
All right, we are joined by Kim. Kim and I have been working together for a fair bit now, and she's had some serious progress in many areas. We're going to cover what worked, what didn't work, and what we are going to do going forward with future goals as well. So, Kim, did you want to introduce yourself?
I'm from Manchester. I've been in the fitness industry for, maybe 10 years now. And that is transitioned from being a part-time fitness PT to now having my own online business. So there's been a lot of transformation over that time. And I feel like I'm now in a position where I'm just so happy running my own business rather than being sort of involved in heavily the coaching. So yeah, I'm loving the transition and traveling the world with it as well.
What did it look like for you before when you didn't have the time freedom, location freedom, financial freedom that you do now?
I was just working like so much. I was tied down to specific hours. I couldn't do what I wanted to do all of the time. It feels a lot easier because it's on my terms, my time frame, and I can work from anywhere in the world. So I never would have imagined that I would be in this position. I was thinking about this the other day. I could never have imagined that I would have had my own business. I thought I'd always be tied to a gym floor, and I never really knew where fitness was going to take me. I thought it was a short-term thing to cover a couple of years before I found my career. And the fact that I've just been able to transition and grow, I couldn't imagine doing anything else now.
What led you to make the changes that you needed to make for you to grow?
Initially, moving to Dubai 4 years ago, it forces you to up the work in because it's a lot more expensive than living in the UK. You can't just go with the flow anymore. You either work hard or you go home. So I think really looking into getting coaching for myself to help me grow, because I didn't know how to do that on my own. It was just really someone coming in and telling me exactly what I need to do. And I think had I not have taken that up, I don't know where I would be right now. I probably wouldn't be doing this, I'll tell you that.
What changes did you actually make that helped you grow from the beginning in the first stages of starting and then growing to your first 10K months? And how did you actually come about making those changes?
I was kind of like running this online business on my own, didn't really know what I was doing or where to go. And I'd seen some coaching come up on social media, and a coach reached out to me to help. And I never really knew that was a thing until someone reached out. And once I'd had a conversation with someone at the time, this was 4 years ago now, I really understood the power of how that could help me grow my business. Yeah, I mean, I started with a coach at the time who helped me grow the business to a point where I felt like I could really see a future within this career. So yeah, getting outside help, that was really powerful and helpful. I don't think I could ever be without outside help again.
I'm the same, I think outside help cuts down the decision-making process for moves that are needed to be made in the business that are either good moves, which are going to help you scale, or removing bad moves and making sure you don't make the wrong decision at the right time, which can either stall your business or decline as well, and help you remove the fear of making that decision. So what mistakes did you make in the past or throughout the process that you feel that most people need to watch out for?
I know how to coach a client. I know how to get a client a transformation, but what I don't know is how to run a business. That is so powerful. Like if you're someone like me and you don't know how to run a business, but you know how to train clients, getting someone that has run a business and knows how to direct you is really helpful, because that's something that a lot of us coaches don't know. We're still figuring this stuff out. I stayed with a coach for maybe 7 months, and then I stopped with him, and then I didn't have a coach for about a year. That was really detrimental to my business at the time, which I didn't realize. I've kind of been in and out of coaching, and I've noticed that every time I've not had coaching, I've plateaued and nothing's really moved forward. I wish I could go back 4 years now, because my business would be at such a different position than it is now if I just stayed consistent with something from the start.
I think it's more down to actually doing the same thing again and again, which keeps people stalled. So what were the things that you felt that you were doing consistently that kept you stuck without any mentorship behind you?
I think it's just not having someone there to position you to grow. You get so complacent and you don't really look at how to grow and pursue that further. I was just comfortable in the same position, doing the same things without really thinking, what what do I need to do to be better? How do I need to show up more? And again, I didn't know how to run a business. So I kind of just stayed doing the same thing. I was posting content here and there. I wasn't consistent with it. I had someone in my DMs here and there. I wasn't consistent. I wasn't managing them consistently. Showing up on my stories was sort of here and there. It wasn't consistent. So everything that I was doing was very much hit and miss. It wasn't showing up every single day. And when I've noticed that I have shown up every single day, it's changed the game. Like, it's been so powerful because my clients have massively increased. But when I drop the ball a little bit, things sort of just plateau.
What would you say helped you stay consistent with key high leverage activities in the business?
It's having someone there 24/7, and not even just having someone to keep you accountable, but having someone to ask questions to, because I have 1,000,001 questions. And when I don't have a coach, I'm sat there thinking, what do I need to go? Which direction do I need to take? And it's so overwhelming. I don't know what's best for me, so I just don't do anything. Whereas obviously when I can turn around to you and say, right, what do I need to do from here? And you're so calm and I'm so like flustered that it kind of like brings me down a level and makes me realize, right, I don't need to focus on these things. Like, they're not priority or important right now. This is what's going to help me grow. And obviously every month that's something different. You know, we focus on different things, but it's just knowing that.
I think it's more not death by analysis paralysis. There are so many decisions you can make and there are so many paths you can choose, and having all of them in front of you makes it very, very hard for you to take action consistently on high leverage activities. So I think this was more recent as well. You had a stressed week straight after that, best week in business ever. So what did that look like for you in terms of revenue, cash collected? What do you feel led to that?
Originally, when I had a really stressful 3 weeks, nothing was going in the right direction. But again, I wasn't showing up consistently. And when we had our conversations, it was like, I need to do X, Y, and Z. Like, stop focusing on all the stuff that isn't important right now. And I think as coaches, because we're focusing on the coaching, there's a lot of admin stuff that isn't priority and isn't going to help us grow the business. We're so focused on the coaching aspect of it and not how to actually grow as coaches and get more clients. So when we really broke it down, and it was show up on your stories every single day, make sure you're managing the setters. That for me was a game changer, because before you told me that, I didn't know what was going on with the setters. I was expecting them to do the job and show up how I would expect, but to them, this is just a job. And to me, that's the whole priority of the business, comes from the setters, you know? So that was so important. So I then was doing meetings with them every single day. I was showing up on my stories, showing client transformations and client review videos as well. Like, that really, really helps. And just stepping up to the game and just knowing, what do I need to do to grow? It is down to showing client results and managing the setters so they book in more calls. Also, another thing that I did, consistently listen to call recordings of closes and no closes so I could understand what was going wrong. And just making sure as well, like, when that prospect shows up to a call, they are showing up knowing exactly what I do and how it's helped women in the same position as them.
You know, when you came off of this week where you actually progressed heavily, 8K cash collected from new clients in a single week, and then we had a lot of processes that were dialed in at that point as well, from hating sales to being able to close them all in a week. So how did we overcome these beliefs or difficult tasks ahead of you that helped you grow in the business itself?
A big thing that I did was knowing exactly financials every single week and every single day, so I could actually see what I needed to make to hit my goal for that month, and then sort of backtracking on that. But in terms of the actual calls and getting those clients, like I say, I made sure that I was sending them women in a very similar position and how it's helped them before the call, so they're already showing up to the call ready to buy. And another thing is, I started to manifest a lot more, like, beliefs that I felt about myself weeks before. They're not true. It's just what I think. And if I constantly hold on to those beliefs, I'm never going to get to where I want to be, because I'm always thinking that I'm that person a few weeks ago. So rather than looking back on what went wrong, I was trying to look forward on what I want to do right and the positives rather than the negative. And you know what? If you don't close, if you don't get a sale, you don't get a sale. Like, you move on to the next. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And just letting go of that emotion helps you move forward in a lot more of a positive rather than negative way.
I honestly think that this is probably one of the strengths which is hardest to build, because it takes a lot of self-reflection, deep personal work. So what were you struggling with before, would you say, mentally, that would have held you back? And then what other things did you do to overcome this? Of course, I know a little better about processes that you instill scale, but how would you go about that process, and what were you actually struggling with?
The main thing that I was struggling with was the sales calls, because I'm good at the coaching. I'd always left sales jobs. The only reason I got into fitness was because I hated sales so much, which is what I was in before fitness. So I always had this belief that I'm not good at sales, but I know the product is good and I know I'm good at what I do in terms of the coaching. So it was kind of just having to let go of that thought of I'm not good at sales and focus on I am good at sales, I can sell, the program is good, the product is good. And when you believe heavily in the product and the program, it helps you sell a little bit easier because you know what you're doing is going to help clients get results, you know? So if you can show up to that call and let these prospects know how it's helped people in their exact same position, and you're just a little bit more at ease with it, like not showing up to the call with all these feelings of I've got to make this sale. It's like, look, if this person doesn't make this sale, it's on them. They should be signing up because it's going to help change their life. And when you kind of let go of that, yeah, you just show up more positively. So it's really just knowing you have a good product, and whoever's on that system with you and on that journey with you, it's going to be powerful for them. And whoever isn't, well, you know, that's kind of their choice, and people make mistakes.
I agree completely. I think the biggest multiplier on sales and close rate is conviction, and conviction can be natural and it can also be built artificially. When you are, let's say, posting your transformation photos, posting your testimonials, listening to them back, and even going through client results testimonials, when you have that subconscious instilled and built in you, it becomes easier to close because, you know, anyone can read a sales script. Of course, getting good at sales with tonality, language, facial expressions, hand gestures, all of this stuff, it all is just the blueprint, and conviction is the largest and most significant multiplier of that blueprint for it to be effective, in my opinion. Now, if we're looking back at like what mistakes you made outside of sales, and I would say sales is a mistake, but like what mistakes you made in the business that were, let's say, bottlenecking your growth, what would that look like for you?
Definitely not knowing what the setters are doing and just expecting them to do their job right, because these setters have come from low profile jobs, and or maybe it's the first time that they're working and they don't know how to show up to grow your business. So really knowing everything that they're doing. Also, I would say tracking all your data for me has been massively beneficial to know what's working and what isn't, and it really opens your eyes to know what the bottleneck is. And for me, that was the set. But I can't stress enough how much it helped me posting constant transformation photos and review videos, because then you're posting so much that people are showing up ready to buy, and I wasn't doing that before. That's another bottleneck, is not kind of just posting content about, you know, like food posts and exercise posts, but what clients really want to see is how it's helped other women in the same position as them. That's what really gets them. So the bottlenecks has been not posting enough and consistently, not managing the setters enough, and not tracking the data.
I think these are super key for everyone. And you actually mentioned, you know, the setter management, not knowing what they're doing. I do believe in the entire space, the setter recruitment management process is underdone. And I believe the KPIs that are needed for a business to grow, with that being held accountable for setting, these setters are the front line of whether people make money or not in every single business I'm seeing in the online space right now, especially the ones running ads. When it comes to expecting a seat filled to equal a job being done, that's the minute I know a business is going to either tank because of the setters, or there's going to be a huge stall in progress, because a lot of people assume hire the first person, expect them to do the job, give them a script, they'll perform. But no one knows the actual conversion percentages between the messages. No one knows what they're actually doing in the hours they're working, and they're just paying them an hourly or paying them a base to just get the job done, or commissions, whatever it is. When the need for the firing process to consistently happen, to keep the best people in, get the worst people out, and that constant loop ongoing, and knowing who to actually bring in, how much to actually pay them to keep them incentivized, super, super important. And the data doesn't lie. It's a game of data of emotions.
I think going back to being a coach, it's so hard to let a setter go when you get this relationship with them, they need the money, and you feel bad letting them go. But you really have got to hire slow, fire fast, because if they're not showing up, that's detrimental to your business. Your whole business is dependent upon the setters. It's not dependent upon the sales calls. It's dependent upon how many calls the setters are booking. And if they're not booking enough calls and you're paying them a rate, you're not making enough sales. So you're spending this money on ads, you're spending this money on your platforms, your coaches, all of this, and they're the ones that it comes down to. So you really have got to know. And if they're not happy with what you've said or how much you want to pay them, find someone else that can do the job, because there will be so many other people that are willing and raring to go. It's just about finding the right people. And I think that's another thing that I've struggled with in the past is getting them out quick enough and hiring someone else, because the process of hiring takes such a long time to train them up. You don't want to go through that again, but you've got to, because you're wasting time by keeping them in.
And I think most people don't understand the opportunity cost of keeping someone in. They're either an asset or a liability. If they are not booking you calls, they're probably burning leads through not very efficient DM setting processes, bad conversations, standard appreciate the follow messages.
Yeah.
And it's the generic stuff that just don't sound like them. And consistent process of improvement in that area is the most important thing, because generating leads you can do on tap, whether it's nailed down advertising, organic. And then when you have the people that are converting those into calls, into sales, not performing, it can halt the business. And the biggest thing I've seen, it wasn't of course just yourself, it's literally every single person I've spoken to is online fitness coaching. It's clarity on what data to actually track to make those decisions on hiring, firing, and even the conversion processes. For you, what does the team actually look like right now in your DM setting team?
I've got an outbound VA, so she just does my initial outreach messages and follow-up messages. And then I've got 2 setters in there, so they work 8 hours a day each, so there's 16 hours coverage in the DM. I've recently got a setter manager. It's actually to help me learn and understand how to manage the setters, because again, this is something as a coach I don't know about. So I've brought someone in to manage these 2 setters every single day on a short-term plan, so that I can understand what I need to do moving forward on how I should manage them. And honestly, it's been a bit of a game changer for me, because they've kind of taught me things that I didn't even know of what should be said. So that's something I would recommend if it's feasible to somebody's business, a short-term plan of bringing someone in if that's an area that you don't know about.
Another big part of the setting process view is the difference in volume, because I see a lot of people come to us as well. They're like, okay, I send 100 messages a day and I'm not booking any calls. I send 50 messages a day, I'm not booking calls. So just because I don't think it's talked about enough, when I started actually mentioning the fact our business was doing 800 to 1200 messages a day, everyone was like, what? So you can't actually send 50 messages a day and make 100K a month? They're like, so what does the outbound numbers, follow-up numbers actually look like for you?
My outbound girl, she's doing about 200 outreach messages a day, because that's how many followers I'm getting a day. So she's just outreaching to all of those. Follow-ups, she's doing between 500 to 700 follow-ups a day. Now, in terms of the messages, the setters are offering between 4 to 5 calls a day. But again, that's only been since this manager's come in, because he's on point with making sure that they offer at least 4 to 5 a day. I wasn't doing that previously. So this is another thing you've really got to know. Accurate numbers, not numbers that they're telling you, but they've not actually done. You've got to know all of this stuff. That's really helped me in them offering enough calls to get enough booked. And if you're offering and they're not booking within 24 hours, you're following them up. Why they're not booking?
It's one thing I see a lot. It's the excuses that are accepted by founders from team members. Like, the leads in the inbox are bad, or my setter needs to take this shift off, they can't work this day. Their mums, uncles, grandmas in hospital, so they have to take another day off. And then it's just a consistent process of accepting excuses, which lower the standard of the entire team. Because if you accept those standards for one person, then every single person under them or over them now see that as the new standard. If you consistently lower standards of the people in your team, it's very, very difficult to progress and have a team that's actually working towards the same goal. It's a matter of direction and leadership, working towards a vision that's important. And that's also tied to KPIs. That's tied to numbers that need to be hit, and their own hours, their own performance. There needs to be leads generated, of course. And we went through that via a few ways. Number 1, content. Number 2, ads. How did we initially see growth in content?
You taught me something that I'd never known before. It was how to make viral content. Honestly, that has been a game changer for me, because I was always so stressed about how do I plan my content using this platform. I never knew about the hooks, the CTAs. It was such a stressful process that's what delayed me posting enough content. And since you taught me the best way to do it, I've been flying through the content. Back in February, one of the pieces of content went viral. That has just massively taken off. My page has gone from 26,000 followers in February to 56,000 followers in October. 30,000 followers grown in the past 8 months. And that has massively helped my page with all of my other content. Now I know how to create viral content. The views are just going up. One of my other pieces has got close to 500,000 views on it. And again, that's just grown my page massively. So just by that one piece, you literally taught me the month before, so it went viral the second month. That for me was a huge game changer, because the amount of leads that have now coming through the door, it was so hard for me to get leads before. It was like I'm going over the same leads 24/7. Now there's just an influx of leads, like every single day an influx of leads that I've got so many leads I don't know what to do with them. So the content massively helped me. It's made the process so much easier, and it's something that I didn't know before you told me that.
One key part of that is understanding the difference between getting millions of views here and there and then getting qualified leads who are actually following you, who want to buy and who you can convert. So leads versus just followers and just views, right? And likes and engagement. So I think that was a really, really big part, because I've seen the entire industry out there. There are people that are just making content which are just valuable training tips or like valuable food tips and this, and they don't know how to structure the content well to position you as an authority and go viral to gain qualified leads as followers. Now, the next thing we actually touched on was ads. So how did we actually use the content to go into advertising?
I was still getting so much engagement on that piece of content that went viral. The leads have all been so good because of what I said in it. It just really brought people in. And I think one thing that massively helped, it's because that piece of content in particular, it had specific numbers. So it immediately engaged people to want to watch it, because I started with saying about, if you was a woman trying to lose X amount in X amount of time, these are the things that I would do. And I put figures and numbers on everything. And I think that really helped people and made people want to keep watching. So then when we transitioned into ads, it was at a time where I didn't necessarily need it, but at the same time, it was obviously going to help me grow. It was obviously going to help the page grow, get more leads. So we created 2 ads on that same piece of viral content. Although my page was doing well before, it was now doing double the amount of engagement that it was before I started the ads. I think we've been running ads since June, and still the leads are just so good. Like, I don't really get any bot followers. All the leads are qualified, good leads that are good to start a conversation with. What you've taught me to do is do the exact same video using a different amount of weight that people are trying to use, just copy and paste it, and now start running ads on that. So that's going to be my next transition now. And where my page is at almost 60,000 followers, I want to get to 100,000 followers in the next 3 months. And I know it's possible because I've seen what this ad can do and this piece of content can do. Before, I couldn't even imagine me having 100,000 followers, and now I know I'll get there like that.
It's super, super important what you mentioned, that the positioning of you with numbers in the content is one of the plays that you have to make to set yourself up as an authority, but also it's about structure. So when the hook is dialed in and when it is actually pain point specific, niche specific, and is tied to dream outcome, and then risk reversal as well, with time frames being, well, time delay being reduced. So all of those playing into value formula, and then you have social proof that comes in straight after in the first third. Even CTA can be moved into the first third if it's advertising content. And then list style. I've just seen consistently list style structure, even in our own ads. We're just banging out list style again and again. We have 8x less lead cost on some of our ads because we are just nailing this down. The big mistakes I've seen people make, they keep filler words in their content. It's not scripted, it's not planned, and there's no research behind why that would go viral. There isn't even thinking about the number of words in their number of list points, what's actually structured with these list points, and how that's actually expressed with facial expressions, hand gestures, movements. Like, all of these things are important. Even subject positioning, like if you're too far away from the camera, if you're too close, if it's going to be cut off by the like buttons, the captions, small things, especially when it comes to advertising. People just get into the habit of like no leads coming in, so they just boost their best reel, but they don't even know what they're boosting or the numbers behind it. Just like, need to get under £1 cost per, and they're fine. But we know that it's down to the link click-through rate, it's down to the cost per qualified follower, and the conversion percentages for quality leads that are coming in, and how you can actually consistently split test that with remaking winners, at the process of remaking, retesting winners. All of these things come into play but get missed because I feel that there is too much guesswork in the game without direction, in my opinion. So what helped you remove either guesswork or give you more clarity towards taking the next steps with each of these pieces with lead generation?
Going back to the ads, I suppose I got a little bit lucky with it. My cost per follower has been really low from the get-go. So I think now, if I was to run an ad where it wasn't good, I'd know instantly that that wasn't a good ad. I'd know straight away what should be good and what isn't. Content as well, like put in specific numbers. I mean, I suppose it depends on your audience, but if it's women, then they want to know numbers because they want to know it now, and they want to know how they're going to achieve it. Dialing into specific figures for everything, because my best pieces of content have been specific, really specific, and it helps. And the list, you know, when people are looking for the next thing, they want to be told exactly what to do, and they want that process to be easy. They don't want want this overcomplicated, overwhelming structure. They want to know that they can do X amount of steps, calories, and that works for them.
What you were saying is a really good point, and it's especially online fitness coaches who get into this idea where they're like, I'm super knowledgeable, I know everything, so I have to deliver everything. And what that does, it confuses the viewer.
Massively. Like, one thing I'll say about all of my leads, all of my clients, they really like how direct and easy to follow my approach is. And I think that's kind of my niche. I work with women above the ages of 40 who don't have bundles of time. They've got kids, they've got a busy job, and they want everything simplified. And I think the one problem with a lot of online coaches is they try to give so much information because they want to see themselves as an authority within the industry. But that overcomplicates it for people, and that turns people away. Being just really direct, straight to the point, and making things easy for somebody to follow. It's the same with me. I mean, coming to you for coaching, I want you to tell me, just do this, and just do this. I don't want to know all the complicated stuff. Asri, tell me how to run an ad and just tell me to press X, Y, and Z. I don't want to know all the background towards it. Just press these buttons and this is how you run the ad. So it's the same with people that don't have an idea of fitness and this is all new to them, you know, they just want to be told and simplified.
I've noticed this a lot, right? We have a lot of information about other mentorships. I've spent over 100 grand on mentors, like I know exactly what everyone else is doing. It is the lack of a process of like an ABC that stops anyone getting any result. If you can't ideally articulate it in a way that is simple for the person that you're talking to understand, then it's either number one, you don't understand it, or two, you have too much of an ego to over explain. So it's one of those two things, or it's technically under delivery by trying to cut down the process and give all the information, let them figure it out. Like, you try and figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
Like, is that going to get someone a result the fastest? Probably not.
Because I've worked with a lot of coaches in the past before I came to you. What I've seen about them is their back office system is very overwhelming. It's very complicated. There's too much information. And I think with yours, everything's quite easy to follow and very basic. And to someone like me, that's the exact approach that I like. And when we get on our calls every week, you're telling me, just do this and just do this. And I write that down and I'll do that for the week. It's not like try and do all these things. That'd be too overwhelming. I think it's the same when you're trying to run a business and also trying to coach at the same time. You want to just have things simplified. Just tell me what the important things are that I need to do to get to the next level and let me only focus on them. And I think what was my problem is where I've worked with so many other coaches in the past, my brain has been overworked, which meant when I stopped working with them, I didn't know which direction to turn. Whereas now coming working with you, it's been very much like, just do this and just do this. And I'm like, that's exactly what I need to be told. That's just so easy. And then it goes back to the same with clients. That's exactly what clients want from a coach.
I love that you have put it in a way where I think it's easier for people to even understand that concept, that, you know, just being handed a bunch of school videos and like a bunch of sheets and go figure it out just isn't a good approach to get any sort of result from A to B. And it is a concept which I think people are struggling with because they have biases around how it should be done. And then, you know, I built this whole thing off of where did I see everything go wrong in every single other mentorship. Number one, lack of accountability towards anything, the data, the actual management, the hiring processes, the stuff that matters, leverage. Number two, people don't actually know what to do, the tangible ABC. What do you actually need to do to get to this number that we are shooting for by next week? And then number three as well, it's the level of information. So it's the data that's missed behind key points, which you need a level of information to execute on certain things. So for example, saying go hire a setter isn't the same as saying this is where you need to hire a setter from, this is what you need to pay them, this is how you actually onboard them, train the management, and what setter you're looking for, filtering that out as well. Saying you need to send 100 DMs isn't the same as saying this is exactly what you need to send, this is what needs to be retested, iterated on the scripting part of things, this is how you get a setter to do that. Saying you need to close more calls because your close rate is bad is not the same as you need to learn this, improve this part of the sales call and improve this in the pitch, the pricing, whatever it is, so you can close more calls. It's every single part of the business that needs to be looked into individually for each person, not just as a group of people, here's a template recycled thing which everyone can do.
That is exactly what I like about working with you and your team. And it's what I do with my clients. I always say to my clients when they join, this is not a cookie cutter program. It's not a one size fits all. I'm going to work with you specifically on what you need and your struggles. And I think that's different where I've come in working with you is I want to know what I need, not what everyone else needs, because we're all at different levels. You know, some people might understand things better than me. So I need you to talk to me in simple terms. A lot of other coaches, they do it as a whole, and that just doesn't work for most people.
This is the one most important important thing that is needed to scale any sort of business, because especially when it comes to online fitness coaching, because there is so much information out there. Everyone is now apparently a mentor. So everyone wants to share what worked for them at some point of time. When we're talking about now and we're talking about an individual business in front of you. So it's not what happened last year. It's not what worked before. It's what you need to do next. And when that is able to be simplified, that is what's worked most consistently again and again and again. Even making sure the founder executes on something instead of saying they should have done this. It's my job to actually make sure that you execute on this. What is the process behind getting someone to execute on a certain task? That becomes my responsibility, not just relying on it and saying it didn't work because you didn't do this. I think that is also a big part of change, and that requires, of course, beliefs being broken and mental shifts needed to be made. So what was your goal from all of this? As in, what did you actually want to build this for at the start? What are you building it for now?
Originally, I set up an online coaching business to be able to travel. And since over the years of having this business, I've realized there's so much more to it than that. Now actually being able to grow and expand, to have a team to help other people financially and give them a job, and also be able to help family, friends. I've hired my friends because they didn't have money. So that is so empowering. It's like, I wanted to be a coach because of how I could help women transform their life. But now it's more than just the clients. Now it's more friends, family, and being able to give back to people, and charity. Like, gosh, I'm huge on charity. So financially, this helps me do so much for so many people. I've been listening to a couple podcasts recently about remembering your mission of why you wanted to do something. And it goes back to all this. It was originally to help people, and now it's to do so much more. And I didn't realize when I first started as an online coach the potential of where it could actually take you. I didn't ever realize I could make 100 grand a month. Like, I would have never thought that. But now I see that's possible. It opens your mind to think, what can that money do for me, and where can that take me? Not just for myself, but for others. So there's so much more to it now. And that's why I'm constantly fighting to grow and grow and grow. And I don't just want to plateau. I don't just want to be cruising through life. I want to grow because there's so much more that you can do for everyone else around you.
I don't think most people have this frame of mind that you have right now. So why do you feel that you are able to perceive life in this way? You have this perspective versus most other people.
I think what gives you that perspective, number one, moving to another country on your own, not knowing anyone, you have to make it work, and that makes you grow as a person. Number two, like being mentally strong, like you have to be in a good place mentally to actually even want to put yourself out there to grow a business. Because if you're not mentally and physically well, like you don't want to show up for yourself, you don't want to show up in the business. Number three, getting a coach. Honestly, I could not grow if I was doing this journey on my own, because I wouldn't know who to turn to when something is going wrong, or when I don't know how to grow past a certain point. And this is why I said I don't think I could ever not work with a coach again, because I know if I didn't, I would just cruise through life. Everything would just plateau, and I don't want that for myself. When you work with a coach, it makes you see what's possible because of their other clients as well as them. Like when I'm on your calls and I'm hearing other people are doing this and other people are doing this, it makes me want to do that. But if I wasn't working with you and I didn't know what other people were doing, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm fine where I am. I'm not fine. I am, but I want to grow, and it's seeing other people grow. And like I say, I wouldn't have known it was possible to make these numbers had I not have seen other people do it. I'm watching people that have come from where I'm come from making crazy numbers, and I'm like, if they can do it, I can do it. And it's shifting that perspective once you see others in the same industry doing the same thing.
I do think breaking beliefs as to what's possible is such a key lever for growth, because you can technically have the skills, you can have the character traits, you can have all the information in the world, but if you don't believe that it's possible, it's impossible for you to grow, because you won't be able to execute on what's needed in the time frame that's needed for you to grow. So where do you see yourself in, let's say, the next few years, next 12 months, let's say?
In the next 12 months, I expect to have multiple coaches working for me. Right now, obviously, I've only got one. It's the first time I've ever had a coach work for me. She has recently actually just quit her part-time job of being a nurse to work for me full-time. So that to me was so empowering. It goes back to helping people. Like, I couldn't ever have imagined that I'm now helping her, like, have this life where she can work from home. And I want to do that for other people. So for me, it's about now bringing other coaches on board, being able to, I want to go traveling for multiple months to figure out where I want to live in the world. Like, how amazing is that I can do that and work at the same time. Financially help my mum and my family, which I've got plans to do. So this is where it goes back to that mission, isn't it? It's not like I'm not just in this to help clients anymore. I'm in this to not only build a life of freedom for myself, help other people around me that are less fortunate and need help financially. And how amazing is it when you can help your family be financially free? Like, that's the mission for me right now. 12 months from now, with the way that the business is growing, I expect to be at least triple my monthly earnings right now.
Love it. And you're definitely going all the way there. It really can very clearly see it in terms of numbers as well. But the main thing as well, I think you mentioned, with being able to empower other people around you. And the main key factor to that is having your purpose as well, I believe, which you've outlined very clearly. So what advice or thoughts would you say you have for people who were in a similar spot to you, who are looking to you for aspiration, for motivation to level up themselves?
I would say stop being so small-minded about things, because that was me. I didn't believe that I could grow to a certain level. And if you constantly think that about yourself, you won't put yourself out there to grow. Another thing is having a financial pot where you can now put back into the business to grow, because that was a big thing for me. It was like everything that I was making, I was keeping it to myself, and it meant that I couldn't grow. So you have to put back and live very small in the beginning to put back into the business, because it's the only way you're going to grow is if you hire people. Stop thinking that you want to take all the money for yourself, because you'll never get to that point. Work your financials out, have a pot to hire back into the business. And you might not make the money back straight away, and that's okay. It might take months. I just wish I'd done things a lot quicker. Like, I'm 4 years into being an online coach now. Had I had my thought process now 2 years ago and put money into the business a lot quicker, I would have grown a lot quicker. Definitely get yourself a coach, because a coach who's been through what you're trying to go through knows which direction you need to go. And I mean, I went through a lot of bad coaches actually, so just make sure it's the right coach. But if you don't know how to grow, where are you going to get that information from? It's only going to be someone that's done it before you. So definitely making sure that you've got a coach and the right coach for you.
I love it. Thank you very, very much for your kind words and all your very, very inspiring thoughts, Kim. And thank you very much for joining us on the podcast today.
No problem at all.